Well, welcome to Eastern North Carolina actually it's not even summer yet, it's late spring. It's June 19th, I believe, and it's hot out. Luckily, there's a little wind. So the point of this is gonna be the carnivore's garden, our carnivore's garden. Why do we have a garden if we're a carnivore? I'll leave that with you, but I'm gonna show you what we have here. First of all, we have a massive amount of peppers. And I'm going to show you the sauces that we use, that I use, and certainly Judy does as well, for on all our meats. But this is a massive amount of peppers, and we've had to move these around. And right now they're all green. We could let them go red. They'd be even hotter. And then of course you can take out the seeds and all these other things, which Judy does. But green is cooler, and that's good enough for us. It's just a real wonderful mix. We have some cayenne in there. We have some cherry peppers. We have, here's a cayenne that I transplanted. I hope it comes back because they've just gotten so big this year. It's really wonderful. We have some tomato. I'll get to that in a second, but it's our pepper stash. And for that, I'm going to even take you in under what it looks like underneath. You'll see that we actually even do have some red cherry over there. These are just monstrous peppers, but it's just wonderful we have this. So this is the other end of the first bin that I put in this bin last year. And what we have here is, now here's our basil corner. And what we've been doing, there's a lot of sort of, just look how all this comes out. These are different types of basil. But what we do is we actually take off a strip of this, let it stand in water for a couple weeks and start another sprout. So it's a continual new crop of basil coming in, I'd say, on a monthly basis. We like basil, we make pesto. It's just a real fun thing to have. And these are different. This is just volunteer peppers from last year, as if we need more. So these are basil. We have a plum tomato over there. Last year, when we were up north, we had a lot of tomatoes. We're not real big tomato eaters now. Now, primarily, the plan is we're going to have some plum tomatoes and dry them for our own ketchup or pizza sauce. So that'll be fun. But the fact is that they're growing this year, and last year they just all died. So pesto corner and more pesto throughout, as you'll see. Here we have something really fun. This is anise. And so you have anise seeds, that licorice tasting, really wonderful anise seeds to taste. We mix this with something over there, I'll show you later, and what do we get? Zambuca. That's a hint for what's going to be over there. We have two different kinds of sages, common sage and purple sage, savory. Cilantro is a lot of fun, easy to grow for most people. It has been for us. We've had a few fails until we got used to Eastern Carolina. But cilantro goes into coriander. So there's the sage. Here's some more of the plum tomatoes we got coming on, and they're actually, this week might be the first week of picking some. So that's a big deal. We've improved a lot. But what I wanted to show you was the coriander seeds that, it's now going from cilantro. It's kind of the American, most people know cilantro as this aspect, right? That's cilantro, even though it's the same plant. And this is coriander, the seeds. And we actually use the blossoms too. So we have a cilantro sauce, a blossom sauce, and then coriander coming in. It's just wonderful. Talk about three purposes for one plant. The plum tomatoes, you'll probably never guess what this one is. This is a fun plant, and it really grows nuts here. This is Stevia. So I planted Stevia for fun. I mean, there's nothing commercial about it. It's just, I don't grind it up or use it. It's just wonderful tasting. I use stevia in my coffee. Judy doesn't use anything. Here's more basil, another sprout we just stick in. Here's some rosemary. We have a number of rosemary plants I forgot to mention down there before. And the nice thing about this is it started with a sprig about this big from the grocery store. Put it in jars of water for about a month. It roots. Put it in here. It grows. And now it's becoming a small tree. Really nice and clean. Last year we had some, it was kind of diseased. So over here, this is called Pichu Pichu. I don't expect you to know that, but it's relative to tarragon, and it is just tremendous. It's a nice extra zing for a spice. More of the rosemary. And I'm going to show you, this is more what they call English and German chamomile. I'll show you a better example of that in another bin. But chamomile is not a small thing. Growing your own chamomile, for me, is a really big deal. This is the first bin I put in last year, and it was pretty slapped together. You'll see, hopefully, my craftsmanship improved. But what you got here is parsley. You have more basil. You have, this is all little basil. We've been transplanting from those shoots I told you about, and even some pots. Here's some tarragon new to this year. Our first year with tarragon, they both died. And we finally had a good hit last year, the tarragon. I'll show you that in a second. But this is English German chamomile. And for me, it looks like chamomile with a bad hair day. But look at these. These are really, it took a while for them to grow, to come out. This is a perennial. So for the most part, most of the year is kind of this mossy, thick, walkable thing. Not that we walk on the bin. And then it all sprouts in the summer into this chamomile. So it's like a bad hair day, as opposed to, this is the fading of a Roman chamomile right here. So you can see I've harvested this at least twice before. And the idea of having your own chamomile blossoms and having your chamomile tea is just amazing. Oh, seriously, it is almost drug-like in terms of this nice relaxation that you get. Boy, the patio is getting hot. So here's more of the cilantro coriander. Here's some lemon balm down here. I know you can't see that. That's taken off. It's a mint, so it's in a pot sunk in. And this is pichu pichu, which I've told you about before. Here's some Mexican tarragon, which is more for stews and soups. It's not as punchy as this year. This has done really well. This is the French tarragon, and it is just wonderful. Every morning I come out after we work out, strip off a few leaves, and we use that in some of our things as well. So, of course, this right here in front of us is a massive amount of catnip. Catnip does incredibly well. Going over here now, we have what they call bush dill. Ah, it's too hot on my feet. Oof, oof, oof. So we have bush dill, which is different than regular dill that grows to be like 8 feet tall. Really nice, a good addition for sauces and everything else that we do use. And here's more of rosemary. It's looking a little tepid because I had to transplant it from another area. It's gonna survive, do just fine. So this little forest we're coming into now, right over here. So what are these two trees? They're always gonna have to be in pots. You have a lime tree here and a lemon tree. They're just coming into their second year with us, so I don't know how old they actually are, but they're actually going to bear fruit this year. This will probably be a lot of lemons, and this will be a few limes as we see it so far. We're simply counting the blossoms. So that is a fun thing. Later I'll go into why would we even care about having citrus here. That doesn't seem like carnivore, or does it? And so now that you know what all this is, you don't know what this is. This is elderberry. Sambuca canadensis, should you want to know. The reason I say that because there's a lot of different species of elderberry, and it's one of the many plants that actually grows on all 7 continents in the world. So it grows pretty much everywhere, but this is the North American sort of version of it, Canada included. It grows to be about 8 feet tall. So some of these shoots are now into their 3rd year. We grew them in bins, and now they're all taking off. So this both is an herb, and it's obviously going to go to berries, which is what this is doing. And the berries have their own sort of market. It's kind of a strong antiviral. You heard of sambucol. We're not going to be doing that. Right now, the blossoms can be used right away as an herb for, they call it feverfuse, to break a fever. We're not using it for that either. Some of the blossoms here, together with the seeds of the anise over there that I showed you about, go together and you can make sambucas. Going further, when you get this gallons and gallons of these berries, it will come out probably in a month or two, 6 weeks out from now for the most part. What we'll do is we may dry them, or just might use them fresh. And so what I wanted to do, I wanted to make some mead. We used to make mead a lot about 10 years ago, make some elderberry mead, which is really pretty fantastic. You kind of say, gee, what's this alcohol theme, Carl? Well, mead takes a long time. By the time this becomes drinkable, from what I just told you about, we're talking about a couple of years into the future. But it'll be a nice treat. It's kind of a sapphire champagne, if you can imagine. Sapphire champagne with a nice taste. So that's the elderberry. And so the last thing is I had to replace this particular bin from what we had before, and that took me a good part of the spring. I thought I could knock it off, and it just became a bigger and bigger project. We did it at 2 different levels, and now it's almost done. So this is our carnivore garden, but I have one more surprise to show you that you probably won't believe. And we didn't plant it, it grew here by itself. So about 2.5 years ago when we moved in here, we thought this was a dying crabapple tree. And little did we know, we did the obvious thing first, which is you cut away all the dying parts of the tree. Next year we did that again. Well, it wasn't a crabapple tree. What it was a peach tree. And so far it's yielded nearly 100 pounds of peaches and well over 200 pounds of peaches, 200 individual peaches. So we ate some of them, of course, and we froze pretty much all of them. It's not carnivore, but it is an amazing tree that suddenly came back to life. And down in the distance, there's a fig tree. We had nothing to do with that. And even down further, you'll see the turtles that come up on a regular basis to get fed. So that's our carnivore garden. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. Now I'm going to show you in the kitchen how I use some of this and how we use some of this. Okay, so these are the sauces that I want to show you about. This is the cilantro. Actually, at this point it's cilantro and coriander blossoms and no coriander specifically, meaning no seeds, but it is nice and spicy. Yeah, and these are on burgers. And by the way, these are grilled burgers, which is the nice part. But they came from Whole Foods. No, yeah, they didn't come from Whole Foods. They came from Walmart. And they're fine. I enjoy them. Sometimes we make our own, but for the most part, live like everybody else. Excuse me. Here's the peppers. This is an amazing topping, this peppers. And so if Judy was here, I'd be using a separate spoon for each one of these. But Judy's not here, and that's why I'm whispering. And here's the, excuse me, the coup de grace. This is our basil, our pesto. Little pesto here, little pesto there. You think there's a green theme here? It is such a nice balance of flavors. It certainly is the sauce. And I'll put a link to how Judy makes all 3 of these. There's 3 different videos of how she does each one of these. I'm so grateful that she does. And here's one, which is, we don't grow our own mustard, but it's a little mustard. A little mustard I put on top. And there you go. That is my dinner treat. All I can say is, it's amazing. So if this is something that you're interested in, that is a topic that I obviously go deeper in terms of labs, in terms of how to do it, in terms of why you would want to do it, various topics, as you've seen that I've done in the past, then please let me know below in a comment. Till then.